For the beat. Meter for the beat.
Double coverage.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Double Coverage. We hope you're still living, loving, and breathing sport. I'm Dom with the great man Sauce. He got a fresh cut for you all today. If you're listening, if you're listeners, not a viewer, he's got a fresh cut here. Nice haircut.
Finally, mate. They're being shut down. I had to hold back because I went to my local hairdresser, Max. He loves to talk a bit of soccer, so I enjoy going there because we always talk shit about Juventus is his team. And he said, the first 2 weeks it was crazy. I said, that's exactly why I didn't come in the first 2 weeks, because I knew everyone would be rushing out to get their haircut. I just laid it back and walked in there today, and I was the only person in there. It was elite.
That's nice. At least we've got a pretty face to look at, mate. I got a rude head at the moment with my haircut. It is a shocker. But we've got a fair bit in today's podcast. Before we get into the top of the show, we've got AFL trades we're going to cover today. Bits been happening around the league. EPL, we're going to cover that. Preview this week's game. Champions League games from this morning. Obviously previewing tomorrow morning's games. Also, we had an F1 race. In Italy again, we'll cover that. UFC.
No surprises who won, sorry.
No surprises once again. UFC, brief hobby talk, Sauceys Smokey, and that'll wrap up the show. I didn't mention NFL because we're starting with NFL this week.
Yes.
Just going to run through it, ladies and gents. Start the show. What we're going to do is we're going to go through this week's games as we usually do on the pod, look at next week's games, go through Saucy's tips that he had throughout the week. But then we thought we would do a mid-season review. We'll go back and look at our divisional predictions and our over-unders that we predicted and see how we're faring at the moment leading into week 9, so past the halfway point. So we'll get straight into it, mate. It all started with the Falcons, mate. They got a win. I can't believe this. Sometimes I can't believe my eyes. Atlanta have won 6 of their last 7 games against Carolina. So the stats are there. If you go in and you do your research, the stats are there. Matty Ice Cold. No, he was Matty Ice, mate. Well, I'm going to call him Matty Ice Cold. He had no TDs, 1 interception. They struggled.
They got the job done, and Panthers were... Well, left a lot to be desired, if you ask me. They should have been able to... They'd won 2 in a row before this, or 2 of their last 3. And you were expecting them to come out and just have... obviously not blow Atlanta Falcons out of the water, but with Atlanta Falcons being a quite an average second-half team, going in at the break, down 2 points, you expected them to come out in the second half and put it together. But... Atlanta figured out how to actually close out a game, which is a change. But don't get too excited, ladies and gents. They've still got a 2-6 record, and they still struggle a lot on defense. And that Panthers offense is nothing special. So, look, both those teams aren't going to the playoffs. Let's be honest. So
definitely not. New England versus Buffalo was next up. New England's lost 4 straight games for the first time since 2002. No TDs thrown by the quarterbacks in this game. Cam Newton again went touchdownless.
What?
2 weeks straight.
How did this guy win an MVP after what I'm seeing the last 4 weeks?
They won this on a fumble by Cam. It wasn't a convincing win for Buffalo, which I was quite surprised about. Josh Allen's actually kind of struggled a bit for the last few weeks. Throwing a fair few interceptions.
Teams seem to have been working him out a bit, I think, Dom.
Yeah. But New England's no good.
His early form, and they're figuring out how to rush him, how to force him into those throws which he shouldn't be taking on.
Those risky ones, the low percentage throws, and it's.
I mean, you're not Mahomes, buddy, so you just stay within your lane, which is what he should be doing.
There's only one Mahomes boy. New England's no good, not looking great. There was a divisional game, great win for the Bills, which is fantastic for them. Next up, we had the upset. your boy Joey Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, who was struggling with a few more injuries on their list, beat the Tennessee Titans. Massive win.
One of these, it's been brewing, Domma. It's been
It is
brewing.
brewing.
I've watched a fair few games. Joey Burrow, first season in, big upside coming out of college into the big leagues. And, what I've seen in those early games and some of the games that I've watched of him, he's going to be a player in this league for a long time. Like, he's coming here and in his first 7 games, is, better than some of the starting quarterbacks that have been in the league for, 5 years already. So, it was brewing. It was brewing. One of these
100%.
games was brewing, Domma. One of these games was brewing where they were going to knock off a good team. And, Titans,
they're
went to
struggling.
they went to the AFC East championship game last year. NFC,
AFC, I'm pretty sure.
correct?
NFC.
NFC. So they went to the
NFC, AFC. Oh, fuck.
one of the two. But
AFC. Sorry.
there you go, AFC. So they're not a bad side.
No,
they have a winning record. Had a winning
coach
record.
very well.
5-2. At the moment, and they were going 5-1 into that game, and with only one loss. And Joey Burrow, my boy,
I'll tell you what, Joey Burrow is lucky not to be. This sounds ridiculous, and people, if you're listening or watching, you're probably going to laugh. But if it wasn't for such a shit defense, he's unlucky not to be 500.
Yeah,
Joey Burrow.
Yeah.
He's literally carried them in every
those two
game.
games against Cleveland that they both lost by 3 points. If his defense was half competent, and I've said this before, if his defense were half competent,
they'd be third in the division right now.
He would be doing all right.
They'd actually be third in the division. Obviously, they got a hard division with Cleveland, Pittsburgh, and Baltimore in there. It's not exactly the easiest division going around for Joey B. But props to him. He's been very, very good. He's surprised a lot of people with how well he's picked up the game. So hopefully, this week coming, he can get another win under his belt. Raiders, Browns, 16-6 to the Vegas Raiders. This was just a coaching game. It wasn't really Baker Mayfield playing poo. Even though, no TDs, no interceptions. No TDs. You don't want an interception. But Derek Carr threw 1 TD. It was just a defensive onslaught for this one. Next up, your boys, the Colts, your actual team,
41 points.
20-point victors over the Lions. The Detroit Lions, funny enough, have lost their last 7 home games. That's a disgrace. It is the longest active streak.
That's terrible.
That's saying something when you're playing in the same league as the New York Jets. That's saying something. I'm sorry.
You don't want to be in the same sentence as that New York Jets team. Let's be honest.
Well, you don't want to be having a worse statistic against your team's against your franchise than what the New York Jets do. Like, the Jets don't even have that.
Oh, wow.
So Rivers was really good in this game. 3 TDs, no picks, threw for 262 yards. It's good. They've got a great defense.
Blew them out the water in the last quarter, Domma, putting up 21 points in the last. I mean, they were up only 4 going into the last quarter, and then they just blew it open.
Oh, the next game. I don't even know if I even want to talk about this game. Vikings, Packers.
Domma, don't. Just don't. I looked at this game at the start of the week. I'm like, 135, bank that, put that in your multis. That's a banker. The Packers, Rodgers should have too much class for Kirk Cousins and the Vikings. Well, they had enough class for Kirk Cousins. But when you allow a man to run for 163 yards and 3 touchdowns, and when I looked at the halftime, he had 110 yards on the board at halftime. If you get 100 yards in a game as a running back, that's elite.
That's
to get 110 at halftime, Domma, the guy was having an absolute game of his life.
He carried it 30 times, so almost 5.5 yards he's averaged. And they couldn't even stop him.
160 yards total on the ground. No, that's the receiving. My bad.
He-
173 yards rushing on the ground. Wowee.
He was literally the third player with 4+ TDs in a game in Minnesota history.
Domma, I'll just say this right now. Kirk Cousins,
You like that?
you like that, only threw the ball a total
I
of
know.
14 times the
You know
whole
what this-
game.
Yeah. You know what this looks like? San Francisco last year when it looked like there was no trust in Garoppolo throwing the ball. So literally the rushing unit, they just played the run game and that's what got them to a Super Bowl. And probably they should have won it, but there wasn't as much faith in Garoppolo offensively. And that's what I believe is happening here. Especially after Kirk Cousins went 3 weeks in a row with Lemon of the week. He couldn't even get more than a 20 QBR. That's how bad he was, his passer rating. He had some of the lowest QBR rating I've ever seen. And he's just struggling. I think they're just taking the ball out of his hands and just said, oh, let's run it, really. So, disappointing, very disappointing. I know it hurt your bets. You'll get into that when you discuss it at the end of this weekly
I'll get
review.
into it, but
it was
it
was very disappointing from Green Bay. It's a divisional game as well. Big game. It's a divisional game.
That's exactly right, Domma. And I thought, what they had a bye. They're coming off a bye after getting slapped from by the
Tampa Bay.
Tampa Bay. Yeah, they got absolutely pantsed, and I thought they'd be fired up, and they'd come out and they would lock away this divisional game, and really put themselves in a good spot going to the second half of the season to secure that that conference. Boy, was I wrong. I wrong?
Disappointing. Very disappointing. Next up, we had, we won't get into this one, but it was, we said it would be over 4 TDs, and it was. So, Chiefs beats Jets 35-9. We won't get into that. We'll get into my game, my boys. Dolphins beat the Rams. 3 straight wins by 10+ points for the first time since 2014. Tua Tagovailoa starts the first time for the Dolphins. Not promising, but I guess it is his first game. 12 of 22, 1 TD, QBR 25.
Let's be honest, Domma. The defense won this for you.
Yeah, they did. They did.
Intercepting Jared Goff twice, sacking him twice, keeping him to a QBR of 12.8. Force the defense forcing Jared Goff to throw the ball 61 times. Like,
threw it 61 times.
61 attempts on the throw, Domma.
He did. 61 throws. He'd be icing that in a bucket for a week. And they came off the short break. They had a short turnaround. And
Domma, it's not like they didn't have the run. Hey, Jared, it's not like they didn't have the run. They had the run game. They got 131 yards on the ground. They actually had the possession, 36 minutes of possession in the game.
He threw the ball 61 times.
But those turnovers really, really kill you. And
what a shambles.
4 turnovers. So that's never going to win you games of football when you don't look after the ball on your side of the ball, on the offense.
I don't know what's happening. Like I said last week, ESPN stuff's up on the computer, but I've got the NFL website up.
There we go.
I'm just going to go in order of the ESPN games. But the next one they've got up is Steelers-Ravens. Still undefeated. Pittsburgh. Divisional game. Massive game. Divisional in their conference. Big Ben. 2 TDs, no picks, threw for 182 yards. James Conner had played really well in this.
Domma, I'm slightly swaying towards changing, jumping on. I'm on the Steelers bandwagon. I've been on them from the start. I said if Big Ben could stay healthy, that team's got a good enough roster to go deep, and I'm really liking it. That's a solid win over the Ravens. Their defense is number 1 in the league, so
that's made Jackson throw 2 interceptions.
There you go. Forced him, rushed him well, and Lamar Jackson, renowned for not being good against the rush when you can apply that pressure, and they got the W. And I'm impressed. They're 7-0, the only team that's still undefeated in the league.
That's
And
it.
I'm well and truly on the bandwagon. And, yeah, let's go Steeler Nation. I reckon you can go deep this season. Like,
No, they've been playing so well. So well. Next up, we had the Chargers blew a lead to the Broncos. Shambolic. Honestly, absolutely shambolic. Justin Herbert, 3 TDs, 2 interceptions in this one. Drew Lock played very well. 3 TDs, 1 interception. But great rushing by Philip Lindsay, which was great. But I'll tell you, they stunk it up at the end.
They've done an Atlanta Falcons
in the
special.
In
Atlanta
red time,
Falcons special.
They did. So they struggled there. Not good for the LA Chargers, who are now 2-5, which is not good. Denver's won 4 of their last 5 games against the Chargers, so promising stat for their franchise. Next up, Saints versus Bears. Went to OT. Saints got the job done, 26-23.
Yeah, I'm going to say that's a good win by the Saints because that Bears defense is solid on the road. To come out of there with the win, that's a very good effort. And still well and truly in the hunt for that division.
Yeah,
Saints, which
they're your Super Bowl pick, so you better hope.
My Super Bowl pick. So I've got to write them out. Picked them at the start of the season. Let's keep going. Let's keep getting those, chalking up those wins.
Next up, it was probably the end of this guy's season. Jimmy Garoppolo struggled. They're saying it's still his ankle. A lot of people saying his time in San Francisco is actually finished. That's what they're saying. San Francisco went down to your boy Russell Wilson and the Seattle Seahawks.
You always knew he was going to bounce back after last week.
Yeah, exactly right. He knows he should have won that game. He threw 4 TDs in this game. Your boy, the Man Mountain, DK Metcalf, received for 161 yards.
The guy is a beast.
He's a monster. He's a big unit. He's a big unit.
He's a big unit, but he moves like a gazelle, mate.
Yeah, I know. It's unbelievable. He's a phenomenal athlete. So big win there for the Seahawks. Last 2 games we had Eagles versus Cowboys. Eagles made this a lot harder than it had to be. But they got the job done. We'll just check who actually was throwing the ball. Danucci for Dallas. Wouldn't even have a clue who this bloke is.
Cracking QBR of 21.3.
Yep.
21 on 40 attempts. And
this team is finished.
Where you needed Ezekiel Elliott to actually have a field day, he only put up 63 yards on the run.
Yeah. Struggling. And to wrap up the round in a thriller, Tom Brady made it difficult for the Bucs here against the Giants. They got the win. Brady played well once again. Great defense, great offense. Not sure. No, he'll play this week, Antonio Brown. Will play this week. So that wraps up the week. And we'll quickly jump into this week's games.
Look ahead.
We'll get into your tips. Come on. If it wants to load.
We'll just look ahead, and then I'll just go over the tips.
All right.
Do you want me to go through it? You got them?
I got them up. Packers,
right,
49ers, Broncos, Falcons, Seahawks, Bills. Great game there. Bears, Titans, Ravens, Colts, Panthers, Chiefs, Lions, Vikings, Giants, Washington, Texans, Jags, Raiders, Chargers, Steelers, Cowboys. Oh, geez, Cowboys against the Steelers this week. Dolphins, Cardinals. That'll actually be a good game.
There is some really nice fixtures on here, Domma. Keep going.
Saints, Buccaneers, and to round off the round, a divisional game between the Patriots and the Jets.
Jets might get their first win this week.
They actually could. No, don't sleep on the Jets, man.
The way Cam Newton's been playing.
Yeah, but don't sleep
and with the bye, you've got the Bengals, Browns, Rams, and the Eagles.
Bang. Done. All right, mate. Run us through your tips. Tell us what's happened. I know you're a bit frustrated.
Dom, it's I've really starting to get frustrated when you just believe so much in something and then they just let you down like the Green Bay Packers. I actually can't believe it because, there was in my only tip that I won, I had 3 tips. They all had, bar one of them, the Packers in it. So by them losing, they've pretty much fucked them all. The one that I did win, I had Colts to the win. Colts to win, multied into Eagles to win, and that both came off. And then the rest, Packers stuffed it. Everything else I got except for the Packers. So I had Packers -6 as a bet. Well, that got defunct because they lost by 6. And then I had Packers win, Bills +6.5, Steelers +14.5 as, just to move in the lines. Packers obviously lost. And then the other one was I had Packers win. Once again, Packers was my safe thing, just like how I did the other week. I did one with Miami. I had Miami as my safe bet, and they came through. I try to find that one. I just feel that there's always one each week that's a sure thing. Like, other than the Eagles, I just thought there was a bit of value on the Packers. I'm still mystified how they lost the game, Dom. I still don't know. That Vikings team sucks, and this Packers team showed so much good. And I just thought they'd have too much in the offense, much on the offense side of the ball. But it was their offense struggled. Their offense struggled when they needed to get the points. And in that last quarter, they still had an opportunity to go down, and they got stopped twice going down the field. Aaron Rodgers couldn't lead him to a game-winning drive. And then you had Dalvin Cook literally unstoppable on the other side of the ball. And that Packers defense, you just need to watch some more footage on the run game because he's got no idea how to defend it. You would think once a guy has 100 yards in the first half, you would actually stop him from getting more yards.
He's the only guy doing damage there. You just try and stop him because the rest of the team's shit.
Yeah. They had to force Kirk Cousins to throw the ball.
Correct.
He threw it 14 times. When you force him to throw the ball, we've seen in previous weeks, he makes mistakes.
You make him throw the ball 25 times, they win that game, Green Bay. They win that game.
If you make you can't allow the run game to beat you because Kirk Cousins is not an elite quarterback. You got to force the quarterback. You know his track record. You got to
make him throw it.
You got to force him.
You got to force him into getting the double coverage podcast to give him Lemon of the week, mate. We
wanted to give him Lemon of the week for the 4th week in a row.
Instead, he gave us the "you like that" because we've been giving him shit for the last month. So he gave it to us. We don't want to cop it from Kirk Cousins. We want to give him the lemon. That's the whole point of it.
Yep. He gave us a.
You like that?
You like that?
He gave it to us. He definitely did. Your tips will come out tomorrow.
Yes, I'll go over on Thursday, Friday. I bought them out a bit late last week, but just watch on the gram, Instagram. Chuck them up on the story. Then I usually put them into the highlight, which is on our page. Not looking good, Domma. I haven't even updated it, but not looking good. I'm telling you right now, our ROI is horrendous. If I can get this ROI to 15% by the end of this year, I'll be satisfied because I haven't lost money. I've made some money, but not looking good. I would be veering very, very far away from my bets this week. And if I do good, I will tell you next week that you should have taken my bets. But if I do bad, I will tell you that I told you so.
All right. Very nice. All right. Now we're going to just quickly transition into, we had our predictions pre-season. And we'll really just have a look at where the teams are at, to be honest. So if you have the divisional standings up.
I've got divisional standings starting from we'll start from the AFC East.
All right. We'll start from the AFC East. I've got this up here. Okay. If you want to read the teams to me in the AFC East, I'll tell you where they are. You had Buffalo over 8.5, New England over 9.5. That's not going to happen. Miami over 6.5, Jets under 6.5, and New England to win that division. So for yourself, I'm going to say that's a big no for New England winning division. Buffalo probably will go over 8.5.
And Miami, I think, got a good chance of getting that over 6.5.
6.5. Yeah.
And obviously New England. Everything on the New England front, I was completely wrong.
Myself,
I mean, I was excited after 2 weeks, but since then it's been
Yeah,
terrible.
I know. They've struggled. Myself, I had Buffalo over 8.5 wins. New England under 9.5. Miami over 6.5. And the Jets under 6.5. And I had Buffalo to win that division, which is looking pretty good
Fair
at
to
the
say,
moment.
Domma, you're right on the money here.
I've nailed
Maybe
it.
you should be giving the bets. What are your thoughts?
Just for this stuff, not for the weekly stuff. I think I probably will nail 5 from here, honestly. New England's not going to get over 9.5. Miami probably will get to that 7 wins. Jets are not getting over 6. Are going to stay under 6.5, and the Bills go over 8.5. So I think I've nailed that division. I don't think anyone will catch Buffalo unless they shit the bed. And well, the only other team that can pass them is Miami, to be honest.
Which they've got to face off again, Domma, Buffalo and Miami at some point.
They do. If you want me to read the schedules. What do we got here? They've got Seattle, Arizona, bye, Chargers, San Francisco, Pittsburgh, Denver, New England, Miami. That's Buffalo. So their last 2 weeks are divisional games against New England and Miami. Probably will win those, I would have thought. They've got Pittsburgh in there, which is going to be tough. The Jets, not even going to bother because they're not going to win a game.
Miami, you can have a look.
Miami have Arizona, the Jets, divisional game, which they should win. Then they got the bye, and then off the bye, they got the Jets again, which they can win that. Then they have Cincinnati traveling to Miami, so they can potentially win that. Kansas City, can't see them winning that. New England at home, divisional game, they can win that. They're at the Raiders and then at the Bills in the last week for another divisional game.
There's quite a few games
Miami,
in there you think
Miami
are
can win
definitely winnable. Obviously, there's a few in there that you're like, probably no chance of winning. Chiefs.
New England's got a pretty rough ride here. They got Jets, Baltimore, at Houston.
New England will be lucky to win 5 games. Lucky.
Chargers, Rams, Miami, Buffalo, Jets.
They'll be lucky to win 5 games, Domma.
Yeah. Next up, we have the AFC. Hit me, Sauce. What are we going with?
AFC North.
North? All right. You had Baltimore to win the division. Baltimore over 11.5 wins. Cleveland over 8.5 wins. Pittsburgh under 8.5 wins. And Cincinnati under 5.5. The reason you said Pittsburgh under 8.5 was you said you were skeptical. You said they will be very good if Big Ben comes good, but you were skeptical of him coming back from injury.
Skeptical on him coming back from injury, but I did say, I said if he stays fit,
they'll be good.
They've proven in the past that when he's fit, they do very well. So
Tomlin's a great coach
it's all down to Ben Roethlisberger staying on the park. If he stays there and doesn't get injured for the rest of the season, I don't see why they can't go deep and potentially, make a Super Bowl. Especially the way that their team's playing and their defense is playing. But at the start of the season, because Ben Roethlisberger's actually got injured the last 2 seasons and then they've struggled, I thought maybe something similar would happen. But you don't know these things when you're putting them at the start of the season. So I still think there's a chance that Baltimore can win that division, but Pittsburgh they'd have to drop some games somewhere. I mean, I think they still have to face Ravens one more time, so they'd have to definitely win that.
But they'll just do what they did this week, and they'll just make Lamar Jackson throw the ball. See, they're actually a team that makes the quarterback that's vulnerable throw the ball.
Yeah, which is what Packers should have done.
We're both wrong here with the Baltimore to win the division. It could still happen, but I had them over 11.5 wins. That's not going to happen. Well, it could, but I can't see it. But Cleveland over 8.5 wins could happen.
Could still happen.
Pittsburgh under 8.5, not going to happen. And Cincinnati under 5.5, potentially.
I think that
could happen. That's a 50-50. So there. So both of us stunk it up there to date. Next, we have the AFC South. I'm taking it.
We have the AFC South, correct?
Perfect. You've gone here. Indy to win the division. Might not be a bad pick. Tennessee under 8.5. Houston over 7.5. That's not happening. Indianapolis over 8.5. Could happen. Jacksonville under 4.5. That's a good get. Probably going to happen.
Yeah, the only thing that's a worry at the moment is they've got 2 divisional wins already on the board. Tennessee Titans. Colts have only played 1 divisional game, so these all count. So they'd have to go on for me to see the Colts to win the division, which I do want them, my team, to take it out. They'd have to, win these next upcoming divisional games, which...
I've got the schedule here if you want me to read them out. So you had the Colts, Indianapolis. Where are we? On the 11th of the 8th. So they play Baltimore, Tennessee, Green Bay.
That's a big game.
Tennessee.
2 massive games against Tennessee. Those
Vegas
2 games
Raiders.
against Houston, they should be able to win those divisions and the
Houston.
Jags.
And then they got Pittsburgh and Jacksonville. So they got another divisional game at the end.
Correct. So it's a massive 5-game stretch here for the Colts. If they can
Tennessee,
if they can beat Tennessee both of those times and potentially win one of these games, Ravens or Packers, they'll be sitting in the box seat because their run home, other than the Steelers, is quite a favourable one.
Yeah, definitely. And Tennessee have, where are we? Tennessee have Chicago, Indy, Baltimore, Indy, Cleveland, Jacksonville divisional game, Detroit, Green Bay, Houston. So that's how they are shaping up. I had in this one Tennessee to win the division, Tennessee over 8.5 wins, Houston over 7.5, not happening. I had Indy under 8.5, and I had Jacksonville to have 1 win, which I think they've had more than that.
They've got 1 win at the moment.
Well, there we go. But they'll get the under 4.5 because they stink. AFC West to finish it off.
No surprises here.
No, Kansas City to win. I had over 11.5. So did you.
That's
Denver over 7.5. Vegas under 7.5, and the Chargers under 7.5.
I think the Chargers is safe. Denver, I can't see them getting over. What was it, 7.5? The number?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't see them getting over. Denver.
I had the same. I had exactly the same thing as you for this.
Yeah, I can't see that. But no. Kansas is not dropping that division.
No.
Let's be honest.
They're home. We've nailed this year. Tennessee's on top of the other one. I'm not doing too bad. I was 3 or 4 there in the AFC.
All right, here we go. We got the NFC East. Start off on the NFC, National Football Conference.
Here we go.
The best division in all of football.
Philadelphia. Listen, ladies and gents, just listen to some of this predicting by Sauce and I. Philly to win the division, probably going to happen. We both picked them. We both picked Philly to win. Listen to some of this crap that we thought was going to happen. Philly over 9.5 wins. Dallas over 9.5 wins. New York Giants under 6.5 and Washington under 5.5. Now, we had exactly the same things. I believe Philly is not going to... None of these will happen. Well, they will.
Except for Philly winning the division.
I had Dallas under 9.5 because remember, I didn't rate them going into the season. I bagged the shit out of them. So, probably nailed this.
You have done well on this one. Other than, look, I actually had New York and Washington under. That's most likely coming in. And then Philly, we had them to win the division, but we had them over 9.5. All right, we had them to win the division. They were at the start of the season. They were actually outsiders to win the division, Domma. So you should put that one in your multi. You would have been doing all right. And I actually had that in, I think, in one of the season multis. Actually, that'll be interesting. I'll actually bring those up, Domma. And we can go over that in a sec.
What's Washington's record here?
So Washington's record's 2-5.
And I got the Giants this week.
Yeah, so that's a win. Well, actually, you don't know.
You
really don't know because
the Giants division. So
the Giants played okay against Tampa Bay. So they bring that game. There's a chance they can win it.
Washington's got Giants, Detroit, Cincinnati, divisional game against Dallas, Pittsburgh, San Francisco, Seattle, Carolina, and then Philly in the last week. It could actually come down to Philly having to win that last game to secure that division.
Yeah, and Philly's got...
I don't think it will because Dallas stink. So
here we go. Philly's got the Giants this week. next week. Next week. They've got the bye this week.
Bye this week.
So,
Giants,
bye this week for the Philly. Then they
Yeah.
got coming off the bye. They got the Giants, Browns, Seahawks. Browns,
Yeah.
Seahawks, both tough games. Packers, another tough game. Saints, another tough
Another
game.
tough.
They've got 4 tough games in a row. And then you got Cardinals, tough game. Kyler Murray, no easy
Yeah,
beat.
still a tough game.
And Cowboy, Washington. So the
It
two
could come
divisional
down to
games.
them having to win the last 2 games. They have to win 2 in a row.
Really, if they win this game against the Giants and then win those last 2 games, Cowboys and Washington, where they're all divisional games, and they finish with essentially an under. Well, they've lost 1 in the division, but they finish with a 4-1 divisional record. That could see them enough with 7 wins, with 6 wins, to win the division.
Enough. Because Dallas play Pittsburgh this
How
week.
do you make the playoffs with 6 wins, Domma?
Well, you're playing the toilet bowl bloody NFC East. Well, we both had Philly to win that. Philly's on top. We're tracking very nicely there.
NFC North.
NFC North, you had Green Bay to win it. I had Minnesota to win it. But I don't know what my thinking. Well, you had Minnesota under 8.5, which is probably going to happen. Detroit over 6.5, probably not going to happen. Chicago under 7.5, probably won't happen because they got 5 wins. Green Bay over 8.5, going to happen. I had Minnesota to get 10 wins. I don't know what I was thinking there. I think I believed too much in Kirk Cousins.
You like that?
Detroit over 6.5, not going to happen. Chicago under 5.5, I'll be wrong there. And I actually had Green Bay under 8.5. I didn't put any faith in Aaron Rodgers. But I'll tell you what, if he keeps playing this shit.
Keeps playing the way he did against Minnesota. He won't be getting that 8.5. I'll tell you what.
He won't. So.
And you better watch out because that Bears defense, even though Nick Foles, we don't rate him, but that Bears defense keeps him in games and always gives him a chance to win. And Nick Foles, last time I remember, he did lead a team to a Super Bowl and through a playoff series. So he is decent. He's competent. He's shown he can win. He's probably one of the most streakiest players ever, or quarterbacks to ever play NFL. That when he goes on a streak and things are going well for him, it just goes well. And it keeps rolling. We've seen it
when
in
it
that.
Goes bad.
When it goes bad, it really. That's what I mean. He's a streaky player. So, look, they're in danger, Green Bay. They will not want to be taking that division lightly, and they would want to start actually playing some defense.
Well, they got San Francisco this week, Jacksonville, which is a win, Indianapolis, which is going to be pretty tough. Then they got a divisional game against Chicago.
Tough game.
They should beat Philly. Then a divisional game against Detroit, which they should win. Carolina, they should win. Then the last 2 games are Tennessee. And honestly, I reckon this could come down to at Chicago in week 17 to finish the season.
That's what we like to see.
Chicago have Tennessee this week, Minnesota, which they can win that. They got a bye. Then they got Green Bay. Then they can beat Detroit, Houston,
Vikings.
Then they can beat Minnesota. They can beat them. Divisional game.
Jags, that's
Jacksonville,
a win.
They can win that. And it could literally come down to that Green Bay versus Chicago game in week 17. But
they're going to face them 2 times still to come. So that's a massive 2 games. That is a massive 2 games.
Yeah.
Both. Look, Chicago 1-0 in the division. Green Bay 2-1 in the division. So these things matter. Your divisional record, because that could potentially sway you as the winner if both teams end with the same record. So yeah, it's going to be that's a cracking division. That's going to be a good finish.
That is a good one. Next up, we have the NFC South. You had Tampa Bay over 9.5, New Orleans over 10.5, Atlanta under 7.5, Carolina under 5.5, and your division winner, which was also your Super Bowl pick, New Orleans, which I can't see them win the Super Bowl, but anything can happen, mate. So who knows? I had Tampa Bay 11 wins over 9.5. I had New Orleans under 10.5. Atlanta over 7.5. I was thinking there. Carolina over 5.5. And I had Tampa Bay to win that division. And they're up on top at the moment.
They're on top at the moment. But what I do like, Domma, is the New Orleans Saints have a 2-0 divisional record. So they're perfect in the division, which is good. And they still have a game in hand. So they've only played 7 games.
Well, they play each other this week as well.
So New Orleans versus Tampa Bay. That's a massive game. It's the second time they've played each other. Obviously, New Orleans beating them in the first game of the season. But Tampa Bay's had more time to gel. So this will be a good game. It'll be a good measuring stick to see how far Tampa Bay's come from the start of the first game and where New Orleans currently is sitting now.
Decent games coming up as well. So they've got New Orleans, then they've got Carolina, divisional game. Rams, then they've got Kansas City, then the bye, then Minnesota, Atlanta, Detroit, Atlanta. So Tampa Bay could win the last 4 games with ease.
It's going to be tough. It's
going
to be tough for New Orleans to finish on top, I think. Yeah. But if they get a decent enough record, why can't they get a wild card spot and still make the playoffs? I think they can.
Well, this next one here, you pretty much nailed this for the NFC West. You had San Francisco under 10.5 because you said they'd be on a bit of a Super Bowl hangover. That's what you said. I said, no. But you've nailed that. And they've had some injuries. Seattle over 9.5.
That's coming in.
Rams under 8.5, which is coming in. And Arizona under 7.5, which is potentially could happen. And you had Seattle to win the division. So you could hit 5 for 5 in this division. Me, on the other hand, I had San Francisco winning 13 games this season.
Well, that's definitely not happening.
I had Seattle to win 12 games. I had them over 9.5, which will happen. I had Rams over 8.5, which is not going to happen. And I had Arizona under 7.5. And I had San Francisco, which is also my Super Bowl pick, to win the division. Not going to happen, which is poo for me. But I reckon this is Seattle's.
This is Seattle's division to lose.
Nothing to go through here, mate. It is theirs to lose, correct?
It's theirs to lose. Massive game this week. Seattle versus... Not this week. Sorry, my bad. I've just looked at the wrong fixture. But in a couple more weeks, there's in another 3 weeks, they've got Cardinals again. So I think we'll see how Seattle goes these next few games. You've got the Bills, Rams, then Cardinals. I think if they win these next 3, especially beating the Cardinals, lock that division away, pretty much.
Yeah.
And on the other side, you've got Arizona, who have got the Dolphins this week, which is a toss-up game. You don't know.
Yeah.
You got Bills, which is a tough game, and then they come into the Seahawks. So for Arizona, it could be over in these next 3 weeks. Like, it could be over, not in the sense of them making the playoffs, but over for them to possibly win the division. So massive next 3 weeks of games in this division of NFC West.
Bang. There it is. So how we sit halfway through the season, you've got 4 of 8 picks for the divisional leaders. You've got Kansas City in the AFC West, Philly in the NFC East, NFC North with Green Bay, and NFC West with Seattle. I've got 5 of 8. I nailed the AFC because I had 3 of the 4. I had Buffalo in the AFC East, Tennessee in the AFC South, Kansas City in the AFC West, and then it was poo time in the NFC because I went Philly, which I got that, Tampa Bay, NFC South, and then I went Minnesota in the NFC North, and San Francisco in the NFC West. So it's shaping up to be all right. Potentially yourself, you could potentially get Indiana and Baltimore and New Orleans. So you potentially could go 7 of 8 by the end of the season. The best I can go is 6 of 8 because Minnesota and San Francisco got no chance of winning. So looking pretty good.
Let's see if I go 7 or 8. Surely I've got to have some, something in there.
You booed me. mate, you boot me out of like trying to be the expert NFL guy. I can tell you that
Let's have a look at it, ladies and gents. We'll go over the seasonal multi that I chucked on here, which I've got it up currently. So I'll put on divisional Colts to win division, Kansas City win division, Ravens win the division, Eagles win the division, and Green Bay to win the division. So Eagles,
Yeah.
Green Bay, Colts, Chiefs looking good. Probably Ravens is potentially the one that could
potentially
cook me. So that was one of them. Then another one which I did, which was Ravens, Chiefs, San Fran, Bills.
No.
That's done.
Bin that one.
So that's bin. We can bin that one. I jumped on Domma's hype train of the San Fran, and I've been cooked. But you know what's funny? That was actually one at lesser odds, and the one that was at more odds. The 25-1 one I put on's got more chance of winning than the one that was at bloody 750-1.
Disgrace by me, in my opinion. Apologies for anyone that took my San Francisco bet. It was shambolic to say the least.
It's fair to say that your Super Bowl tip is down the drain.
No, done and dusted. Anyway, that was a review, recap of last week's. We gave you this week's games. We'll check in, obviously, at the end of the season, do a bit of a playoffs review, see what we think, and we'll give a bit of a bracket again. But, yeah, it sums up NFL for the week. So coming up next, around the world we go, starting with AFL and the trade news. All right, we're back. Big week of NFL, of EPL. It's just still in the hype train, mate.
AFL, we're on the AFL, mate.
Oh, AFL, jeez, I'm all over.
What you just said? We're on AFL. AFL trade news, massive. First one off the ranks, which we're going to talk about, is big Joe Danaher finally getting his move away from the Dons, my team. Hallelujah. I'm glad to see the back of him. We should have got rid of him last season, but you know what? I'll take the pick 7. Thank you very much, AFL, giving us way too much on the compensation, because for a guy that's played 2 games in 2 years...
What'd they give you?
Pick 7. That's a win! That's a win!
I'll tell you what, when we get rid of Ben Brown, we better get pick 1 as compensation, because we've got no freaking players left on our list.
I'm telling you, you watch this, Domma. Ben Brown's won the Coleman twice, right? All Australian as well. So same colour.
Like the North Melbourne goal kicking, like besides this season, 5 years in a row.
Right. So really, technically, in terms of what Joe Danaher has achieved in his career in terms of accolades, Ben Brown's actually exceeded him, and Ben Brown can actually stay on the park. Ben Brown's a more valuable player than Joe Danaher in my eyes.
We'll get like pick 15 or something.
Oh yeah, you will not get anything. You will not get anything. Look, you not get anything, but you won't get anything as good as pick 7. I can nearly guarantee you. I can nearly guarantee you that. Shit. I couldn't believe it. Last year we were going to get 2 picks for him. I'm celebrating. Yeah. I'm so happy. I'm happy he's gone. See you later. The club needs to start moving on these players that don't want to play for the club. They need to fix the culture down there. There's things that I'm not happy about. But as I said, these players that have had enough of a go, it's time to move them on. So Joe Danaher, thank you for what you did for the club. Because when you actually played, you were very good, but there was not enough actual playing and you being on the park to warrant the amount of money that you wanted, but then you wanted to move away from the club. Your heart wasn't in it. Not a true Danaher, if you ask me.
So he has gone down.
Danahers would stay. The Danahers would stay at the club. The old boys.
But
not you, mate.
He's gone, mate. He's
definitely
gone.
the new age. Definitely new age. You're definitely part of the LeBron era where you make it okay to trade from one club to the other.
Yeah, well, the difference is you've never win a flag. So he's going down to the Brisbane Lions Football Club, and hopefully he can help their inaccurate kicking woes, and he can kick some goals for them. They need a big fella down there.
You've just signed another guy who can't kick a set shot for goal. Well done. Along with Eric Hipwood, there's 2 guys on your list now that can't kick set shots.
They can take marks apparently, which is all right. So they'll win a flag next year, Brisbane. Congratulations. Moving forward, Brad Crouch went to the Saints. This afternoon.
Massive get.
Saints are going to be good next year. They're going to just keep developing upon what they did this year. They made finals. They're going to get better.
Ball magnet, Brad Couch. Absolute ball magnet.
He's gone there. Jesse Hogan went to GWS. He's gone to Freo. Didn't play last year. Then played a bit this year. And now he's already left the club. Or did he come to Freo this year?
Who's that? Jesse Hogan. I think 2 years ago he went there.
2 years. Yeah, so he didn't play much last year. He played this year, and now he's already left the club. So he's at GWS. Interesting choice. I'm not sure. GWS trying to get some guys as they gave up Zach Williams, who has gone to the Carlton Football Club. This is one of many touted picks that are going to go down to the Carlton Football Club. Just waiting to see what Adam Sard's going to do.
Yeah, so the word on that, which I read up today, Domma, Essendon, obviously renowned for being difficult to trade with.
Oh, yeah, worst.
Dodorio, by far the most difficult person to deal with in all of football when it comes to trading.
Thinks all your players are worth a freaking first-round pick. Well, you know what? He's right, because you got pick 7 for Joe Tanner.
Oh, right. Anyway, look, Domma, I'm celebrating. Look,
what the fuck?
I don't know how we got pick 7, but I'll take it. Enough of that. Word is, we want overs on Sard, and there's a bit of back and forth between the clubs. I think at some point they're going to come to a deal, but it's all got down to how the club views him. Like if they get a sense of if Carlton really want the player and they view him as a high potential and someone who would benefit the team so much, then they're going to try squeeze as much as they can out of him. Any team in the AFL, I know Adam Sard would walk onto any team in the AFL. He's probably one of the only players on Essendon's list that would walk onto any team.
He's a good player.
He's that good of a player.
He's a good player.
And those players that dash and run off half back are so valuable in today's game.
Very good.
As they, meters gained is such a massive stat in the AFL these days. And he's one of the leaders in meters gained. So
he's got pretty good ball use. So
correct. So look, he's one of our best players. I don't want to see him go, but he doesn't want to be at the club. Once again, if guys don't want to be at the club, let's try and move them on. Let's try and get players in there that want to play for the club. So look, I think a deal's going to get done, but we'll see. We'll see. Who knows? Essendon did, forced Danaher to stay. Do they do the same thing to Sard? I don't know. Maybe.
Next up, Oleg Markov from the Richmond Football Club, the Premiers, has gone to Gold Coast, along with Rory Atkins, who's left the Adelaide Football Club, and he's gone to Gold Coast. They're recycling some players. Rory Atkins is a pretty solid player. He's decent footballer, but looks like Oleg Markov, who strung together a few pretty good games for Richmond. He just couldn't get a look into that side, as they're as the premiership winning side, and they had some guys that are ahead of him. But he goes and rejoins Brandon Ellis, one of his mates, down there at Gold Coast, to get an opportunity to play, and he can just show.
Hey, Matty Rowell will be back next season.
Yeah.
And at the start of the season, when they had the big Rowell in the centre, he looked like he'd been playing AFL for 10 years. The way he was dominating, he was actually leading the Brownlow there after 5 rounds or whatever.
Unbelievable.
Get him back in there. Bolster that midfield a bit, and that young Gold Coast side is showing promise. And we want to just see him with some improvement.
Exactly.
And keep that building up. And I think the more experience you get in there to help with the younger guys there will help. So, look, good signing. We've seen other guys go from Richmond to other clubs and do well. Richmond got a real good system, churn out the players, so not a bad
No, it's good. All the best to them. Then Zach Langdon has gone from GWS to West Coast. How they can afford another guy is beyond me. And Isaac Smith has gone to Geelong from Hawthorn. And they've also put in the papers for Jeremy Cameron, which then GWS said, nah, you need to give us this. Geelong's matched the offer. They just haven't come to terms yet, but you seem to think something's going to happen there. My only concern with Geelong, whether you agree with me or not, is they're they're getting guys into their team that are aging still. You know what I mean? Instead of getting like a young guy in, they're getting another old guy in. Like Harry Taylor also retired, so well done to him on a fantastic career.
Fantastic career.
But you get another 30-year-old in your team in Smith, then you're getting Jeremy Cameron, who's not yet 30, or he is 30.
I'll let you know.
Cameron. But then they're looking at getting Sean Higgins as well, who's definitely in his 30s from North. So you potentially...
27.
There you go. So you're getting a 27-year-old. He's pretty much in his prime, Jeremy Cameron. But you're going to get two other guys that are in their 30s. Well, if they get Higgins. I know you pretty much lost Gazza and you lost Harry Taylor, who were old guys, and you replaced them with Smith and potentially Higgins. Another two old guys. So I'm not sure. I don't know. I thought they might go a bit younger. We'll see what happens. They did make a grand final with the team that they had, but
look, Domma, I'm not gonna.
We have to wait and see.
I'm not going to doubt them just yet.
Pretenders.
Yeah, look, you call them pretenders. There's one thing that I will commend the Geelong Football Club on, and Scott, I don't know which one is Chris down there.
Chris.
Scott.
Yeah, Chris.
They've stayed relevant for the last 10 years, mate. That's more than what I can say for my club, Essendon, who haven't won a final for freaking 16 years. What is it? What are we up to, Domma? We're up to...
Where's our,
here we
our
go.
boy?
Our boy here. What's it called?
Just type Essendon in.
Yeah, days since Essendon hasn't won a final. Here we go. 5,905 days we're at. So in comparison to my club that I love so dearly, for them to stay relevant the way they have for the last 10 years,
I'd credit to them.
Since 2007, they won the grand final. 2007.
Yeah, 7, 9, and
right?
7, 9, and
correct.
11.
From that point there to now, they have stayed relevant. That is one hell of a achievement. Obviously, they haven't been able to get another granny, but I'm not going to doubt them because they did just make the grand final this year. So they are one of the best teams in the comp. They're top 3 team in the comp, proving it. So bring these guys in, and Jerry Cameron, great player. Isaac Smith, a good player, very good player as well. So
I'm just concerned on the age. I'm not concerned about the player that they're bringing in because.
It will be a concern, Domma, if they don't get a premiership out of this in the next 2 to 3 years. It will be a concern. Yeah. If they don't get a premiership in the next 2 to 3 years, that is when it's going to be a super concern because you're going to have,
Cameron's 30 then.
Yeah, Cameron's 30.
Hawkins is done.
You've got Selwood's be done.
Dangerfield
will be pretty much done. So this is what you got to look out for. 34... 35, that's the career these days. You ain't getting guys playing at 39 like Dustin Fletcher and Craig Bradley and the likes, Boomer Harvey. That rarely happens. 34, 35, there's your career, done. So, they have to win the premiership in the next 2-3 years. Or else this is going to look like a monumental stuffer.
Yeah. And to finish it off, North Melbourne got Aiden Core, which was much needed in the back line, and Ben Brown requesting a trade to the Melbourne Football Club.
What are your thoughts on that, Domma?
Well, I've said this before. I love Ben Brown, and I just think, in all honesty, he had one bad season. It was an injury-plagued season as well, and it's as if everyone literally has just forgotten what he'd done for the club for the last 5 years because he had one bad year. So he had an injury-plagued year, which you're not going to play good football when you're injured. He was a bit inaccurate early, very inaccurate this year, injured. He had a shit year. As simple as that. his season was terrible, and based off of that, it's like, oh, let's ship him off. I, I don't know what the list manager's thinking. Maybe it's he just doesn't want to be around the club anymore. But the way I look at it from outside in, it's like, well, he's had a bad year and we've lost faith in him. And if that's the way we want to treat the player, someone that I respect him as a footballer, he literally, when he came on the scene, you probably say the same thing from another football club. You'd be like, who the hell's this bloke? He looks like he couldn't even, he has no ability to play football at all with his big mate. He's got his nickname Sideshow Bob. He literally did look like Sideshow, like a Simpsons character. And yeah, and what he strung together in terms of ability and skill and what he'd done for the club, I really appreciate it. And my whole thing is, if we're not going to give him a go and we're going to treat the player like this, I'm happy for him to go and find a home elsewhere where he can hopefully string along some great footy and what he gave us, give to another club. I'd hate to see it when he's playing against us if he kills us in a game. But you know what? If it's because we've done something shit house to him and he wants to get some good footy and go to a team where he feels comfortable, by all means, all the best to him. You know my other views. I'm happy to just honestly blow up the team.
Yeah.
My whole big thing is it sounds terrible if you're a North Melbourne supporter listening to this and you'd be like, no, you can't do this, but Todd Goldstein, love him to death. One of my favourite players for North Melbourne. He's literally the epitome of just courage and a battler. But if we're going to blow up this team, I'd actually like to see us trade him and get something and trade him to a home that's a contender to win the flag, because that's a guy that put in commitment and hard work. I'm not saying no one else in the club has, but that's one guy I'd love to see win a flag. And obviously he's not going to get that for the remainder of his career playing at North based on a rebuild that we're going through. Yeah. It could happen in 10 years, North Melbourne, hopefully. But in 10 years, he won't be playing football anymore. So if we can get rid of him, get something for him. His stock's still good. We were thinking of trading him 5 years ago, mate, when his stock was at his peak.
He's really only had one bad season in the last 7 years or something like that.
And he carried injuries for that season as well, and he still was decent. So yeah, that's my take on Goldstein.
But down at North Melbourne for sure.
Oh yeah, 100%. But we'll wait and see what happens, and we'll keep you posted with further updates throughout this week, going into next week. Perfect. All right. Coming up next, the EPL this time, and some Champions League. All right, we're back. EPL/Champions League. Let's get straight into it. I've done this based on the highlights that I watched, but then I've watched some other games in their entirety. But start off with a few that not much to get into. Wolves beat Crystal Palace 2-0. A ripping goal by Cole Walker for Man City got them the 1-0 win over Sheffield United.
Underwhelming win, if you ask me.
Yeah, it was underwhelming.
The way they played was not impressive, and they haven't, even though they got another. They got another win. Look, they won 3-0 in the Champions League today. But don't read too much into it. I mean, you're struggling against a side like Sheffield United.
They don't look good.
So just
they really don't. Well, I'll tell you what the positive is. De Bruyne actually started, and De Bruyne assisted Kyle Walker. So
he said he's got to play. Why is he?
I told you, mate. He's the best player in their team by a country mile. How is he not playing? Like,
anyway, all right, next game, Chelsea 3-0 over Burnley. Chelsea starting to steam along now, putting together games and looking the goods. Liverpool, very good win. Rate it. West Ham, not an easy side. I've been saying this for weeks, and they didn't find it easy against the Hammers. Yeah, the Hammers actually scored first, and Liverpool had to come from behind, and they were able to get the win. Diogo Jota, honourable mention. Let me just tell you, we'll speak about him in a bit when it comes to Champions League, but the bloke is absolutely flying. flying in the Liverpool team.
The winner that he scored, I'm not sure, did you see the winner he kicked? The ball that Shaqiri played him, Xherdan Shaqiri, was it was an absolute pearler of a through ball. It went through everyone. And Jota just read it perfectly, ran onto it and finished it. It was very, very nice. Next up was just a goal fest.
Oh, class.
Did you see it? Yeah, very
Domma.
nice.
That was elite.
Yeah, very nice. Aston Villa versus Southampton. 3-4. Southampton getting the win.
Villa coming back to their championship levels.
I'll tell you what. The goals that were kicked in this game, the goal kick by Ward-Prowse from the free kick to put them up 2-0 was elite. And then Ward-Prowse with another free kick to put them up 3-0 was even better.
So he scored 2 free kicks in this game.
2 free kicks. But the fourth goal they kicked to go 4-0 up was absolute filth from Danny Ings. Absolute filth. He just... Mate, you'll see him. He creams the ball. It was pure filth.
To go up 3-0.
It was amazing.
Danny Ings.
Yeah. Watch this. Bang.
That's elite.
That's elite.
I just watched the whole of those Ward-Prowse goals just then. It looked like a replay. The second,
mate,
the first, they were about 2 meters away from each other. The ball, it looked like a replay, and he put it in the exact same spot twice.
And how well did he strike him both times? It was unbelievable. Then Villa had 3 goals unanswered at the end. They kicked their last 2 with hardly any time left, and it was just game over from there. Junk time goals. Next up, we had Manchester United.
Arsenal.
Against Arsenal.
Arsenal. It's the result I've been waiting for, Domma.
Mate, you beat one of the big 6, so it was great.
And
it was a great
win because you guys have actually been flying in your last 4 games, and it's the win I've been waiting for. It's what I've been calling for. And credit where's credit's due. We kept you to a clean sheet, Domma. Kept a clean sheet for us, but kept you guys goalless. And when you do well defensively, you're always in the game. But your side, Domma, what you seen from your team?
You took the game to us from the get-go. Thomas Partey, is it Partey? For us.
I don't know. Yeah, I just call him Party. Partey.
He took everything and just went into 5th gear. He played 5th gear.
You know what I'm going to say?
No. So we're going to move on now.
Wait, Domma, I just want to say, there was. I looked at that lineup, and it was such a beautiful, beautiful thing to see. Granit Xhaka starting on the bench, where he belongs, on the bench, right? We're going to get somewhere. I've said this for ages. Once Arteta realises that Granit Xhaka is not in our best 11, we will start getting places. Look what happened. We won. We beat Manchester United, a team that's won 4 of their last 5. Thank you very much. Please, Arteta, please. Only play him in the cup games, FA Cup, Europa League, whatever. Keep him on the bench in the league, please. Please. Partey is taking his spot. Best signing we've done because now we've actually got a player who's better than Xhaka and we've got an excuse to leave him on the bench.
Takes on the game, mate. I like some of the players. Like I mentioned Saka a few weeks ago on the pod. Mate, you got some good players in that team.
And a revitalised Mohamed El Neni after getting loaned out last season, coming back. The guy chasing down, pressing in the 90th minute, just doesn't stop running. He's got the heart of a lion. Just keeps going and going and going, which is what we need in that midfield.
That's good. You're looking good. I got nothing to say about my mob. All I'm going to say is I saw the starting 11.
Domma, you're really sitting low, mate. You are sitting 4 points off the relegation.
We're not getting fucking relegated, mate. Shut up. We're not getting relegated. Mate, I'll tell you what, if we're in relegation contention, Oh, you might as well just pack it up. We might as well sell
Imagine
the
you get
club.
relegated, but you make it to the final of the Champions League. Because you're doing well in Champions League, I tell you that.
I'll tell you,
It's like,
the first.
how can you play so well in Champions League, but in the league you're struggling so bad?
Tell you the first person that I'm getting rid of at the end of the season, and I'm not even going to mention his name because you know who I'm talking about. I'm fitting to lose my shit, and
He
it's
gave
just,
away the penalty, didn't he?
and it's just absolutely perfect that I've been ripping this guy to shreds for the last 3 weeks as well, mate. So you can't say, "Oh, Dom's being too harsh on this guy. He's being too harsh on him." No, I'm ripping him a new one, and rightly so. Fucking, he's just proving me right. Start calling him James Harden, mate.
Oh.
Starts proving me right on everything I say. Anyway, we're moving on because they were Man United because I like the way we're playing, but I could have moved back to the other version. Not going there. Tottenham, Brighton. Tottenham got the win. Brighton was pretty good. Gareth Bale with the winner. It was great to see. Got the winning goal. A header. As easy a header you've ever seen in your life, considering he was unmarked. They decided to unmark.
Terrible defense.
Gareth
Absolutely
Bale.
horrendous.
So it's shocking. The final games were Fulham versus West Brom, 2-0 to Fulham, which we were surprised because Fulham don't win shit these days. And Leeds v Leicester, they lost 4-1 to Leicester.
Yeah.
Our boys. Good.
Look, really disappointing. Really disappointing by our boys' Leeds, and we're
what?
we're
My boy-
literally nowhere to be seen. Yeah.
My boy
But,
Bamford missed a
you
couple
know,
of years, mate.
Leicester City, they're having one of those seasons again, Domma, where they look dangerous against every side.
I know.
You know, only conceded 9 goals, which is, well, not a league best, but one of the best in the league. Arsenal being the best, only conceding 7 thus far. When I say I'll give props where props is due, I only conceded 7. But Domma, we've only kicked 9, yeah. So we're struggling on the other end of the field. But Leicester only conceded 9 on the season. They're
Brendan Rodgers is doing a fantastic
job.
He's still like, oh mate.
Fantastic job. You know, look, I always thought you always got to raw end of the stick by getting the arse from Liverpool when he did. You know, it was just the season before he got the arse that he actually took him to within one game or one slip away from the title, thanks to Stevie G. And, you know, he probably would still be the coach there today if he won that title.
Probably.
Let's be honest. So,
Probably would have been better for United. We probably would have got Klopp.
right. So, he's a good coach, Brendan Rodgers, and that Leicester City team is playing very well.
And before we move on, I missed the game here. Newcastle-Everton. Newcastle got the 2-1 win over
Massive.
Everton. So Everton's lost two in a row, and it's not. And then guess who they play this week? Manchester United.
There we go.
So
There we go.
at Goodison Park.
go.
So they're probably going to get back on the winners.
We'll just
list.
We'll run through it here just quickly. You got Liverpool.
Yeah, run through it.
Liverpool on
mate.
top, 16 points. Leicester City, 15 points. Tottenham third, 14 points. Then you got Everton fourth, 13 points. And then I'll just run through the next few really quick. Southampton 5th, Wolverhampton 6th, Chelsea 7th, Aston Villa 8th, Arsenal 9th, Man City 10th, Newcastle 11th, Leeds United 12th, Crystal Palace 13th, West Ham United 14th, 15th, Manchester United, Brighton and Hove Albion 16th, Fulham 17th, West Bromwich Albion 18th, Sheffield United 19th, and Burnley 20th. So some really big names in the middle of the pack there. From 7th to 15th, you've got United, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, all sitting in that middle section.
That's a disgrace.
And you've got
the games coming up this week. Brighton, Burnley, Southampton, Newcastle, Everton, United, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Chelsea, Sheffield, West Ham, Fulham, West Brom, Spurs, Leicester, Wolves, City, Liverpool, and Arsenal, Villa. That's another great game. So some pretty good games this week coming up. But we had this morning the Champions League back on again. Just run through the results. We had Lokomotiv Moscow drew with Atletico Madrid 1-1. Shakhtar Donetsk got slapped by Borussia Mönchengladbach 6-0. Salzburg got killed by Bayern Munich 6-2. Madrid versus Inter,
Cracking
which you
game.
said you saw some. It was a great game. Madrid won 3-2 in that. City beat Olympiacos 3-0. Porto beat Marseille 3-0. And post-game, Arsenal manager, I don't know if you saw this, Andreas Villas-Boas actually came out and said, my team is shit. That was his actual quote that he said to the media.
What?
He goes,
Coach of who?
he said, we're not, Marseille. He goes, we're not winning because my team is shit. That is actually what he said. I'm not making that up. He actually said my team is shit. That is why we're not winning games. He said shit.
Oh, that's great.
So,
that is great.
Then we had FC Midtjylland versus Ajax, 2-1 to Ajax, and an absolute exhibition by Liverpool slapping Atalanta 5-0 in what was a fantastic game
and
for Liverpool
as
fans.
I mentioned before, this man, Diogo Jota,
Yeah, get into him.
absolutely, taking
fantastic.
getting the start ahead of Bobby Firmino, who started on the bench, just shows you how much faith and how much Klopp rates this gentleman here, Jota.
He's got class, mate. Where did he come from, mate?
He was from Wolverhampton. Traded in from Wolverhampton.
Was he?
Yeah. It's played. He killed it last season. Wolverhampton done very well last season, I think.
No.
I think they finished in a Europa League spot. And
Hey, Portuguese. He's a Portuguese player.
there you go.
I tell you what, the Portuguese national team.
They're looking good for this upcoming Euros. I tell you what.
Yeah, and it's looking good for for Ronaldo in his last World Cup.
That's what we like to see.
Hey, I like that. They got Jota.
And if he wins the World Cup, the GOAT debates will just be over, won't it?
Mate, we'll pass that when he does win it. It would be well and truly finished if he wins a World Cup. Finished. You would not even be able to put Messi.
The Messi fans would hate that.
Ronaldo.
They would hate that.
You wouldn't. I'm telling you, and you know me, I will not let it go. You will not be able to put that man's name in the same sentence as Ronaldo in front of me ever again. I'll just say, don't want to hear it. World Cup 1-0.
Obviously, we ran past it. I said before, City won 3-0 again today, but let's be honest, they beat Olympiacos, who they should beat.
They're strong.
But looking forward to tomorrow's games. We got more Champions League coming up, and the following day, which we don't follow on this show, we just talk about the Champions League, but we've got the Europa League of my boys, Arsenal, playing. So if you're an Arsenal fan, make sure you tune in. Here we go.
But
tomorrow's game.
Tomorrow we've got,
Go for it.
Go for it. Zenit versus Lazio, Istanbul versus United, Sevilla versus Krasnodar, Chelsea versus Reims, Club Brugge versus Borussia Dortmund, Barca versus Dinamo Kiev, Foreign Chiavarozzi versus Juventus. The GOAT is going to play, and Leipzig versus PSG is the last one there for tomorrow. So that is Champions League sorted. Beautiful. All right, that's soccer. Done for a week. Coming up next, F1s. No surprises, but some surprises, I guess. All right, we're back. F1s. The Emilia-Romagna GP. This is the Grand Prix where we still have a few races left. Fair few races, actually. I think there's like 5 races left. 6 races. But I said it last week when I go through all the stats. We just don't bother anymore with the constructors. And officially, we will not be speaking about the Constructors' Championship for the rest of the year, as Mercedes were crowned the 2020 Constructors' Champions already. They had a 1-2 finish. Hamilton finished first, Bottas second. They were just too good. They probably shouldn't have had the 1-2. Verstappen should have finished second. His tyre exploded. lost control. His car was just a mess. So he did not finish. Pierre Gasly was very unlucky as well. He did the first lap, and there was a coolant leak in his engine, so he had to retire from the race. Lance Stroll was terrible. And George Russell, on a safety car, made a terrible decision, lost control, and smashed into the wall, which continued the safety car, which helped our boy Danny Rick get on the podium.
Again!
He finished third.
Bang!
Danny Rick. Loving it. But the massive winners out of the race was Danny Rick. This is obviously outside Mercedes. It was Danny Rick and Daniil Kvyat from the Toro Rossi, the AlphaTauri, sorry. Gasly's teammate drove like a madman, and he finished fourth.
Not bad.
It was fantastic. On that restart from the safety car, he was seventh and went all the way to fourth. He was just passing everyone. He was driving like a madman. So the standings were Hamilton, Bottas, Ricciardo, Kvyat, Leclerc, Perez, Sainz, Norris, Raikkonen finishing the top 10, which is awesome. And Giovinazzi, World Championship, Hamilton, 282. Bottas, 197. Verstappen, 162. Ricciardo getting an extended lead on Leclerc, 95 in fourth. Leclerc, fifth, 85. Perez, 82 in sixth. Norris, 69 in seventh. Sainz, 65. Albon, 64. And Gasly is 10th. Whew. Next GP is in Turkey, not this week, next week, so in a fortnight. So we'll give a bit of a race preview on next week's podcast.
Race preview. Hamilton's winning. Done.
No, Hamilton's just going to retire for the rest of the year. I don't think mathematically he can't be caught. So if he doesn't drive,
even if he doesn't drive for the rest of the year.
Yeah, I think he still wins.
Wow, that's a demolition.
I think.
How much did he win the race by on the weekend?
Not as much as
not as much as
does.
Well, wasn't this 17 seconds 2 weeks ago?
And 27 seconds. Oh, let's have a look.
Here we go. This is always a good indicator to tell you how much he dominated.
Oh, mate, I put in GP. Let's have a look.
Good indicator.
He won by 5.7 seconds.
So a little bit closer than the 17 he won by the week before, but still comfortable.
I think Toto Wolff said, listen, guys, we're making it too obvious. We'll just tune down his car a bit this week so he can only win by 5 seconds. I think that's what he did. Because Bottas had damage under his... on the bottom of his car, so he was slow. But Verstappen would have finished second if he didn't blow his tyre. So we'll have a look at Turkey on next week's podcast. So, yeah, coming up next, UFC.
We're back. UFC on the card.
UFC.
Obviously not the biggest card that went past, but still some good bouts on. Run through the main card results. Bobby Green, lightweight division, getting the win over Thiago Moises. No, my bad. Thiago Moises getting the win over Bobby Green with a third round decision. In the middleweight division, you had Kevin Holland getting the win over Charlie Ortavos. And then the heavyweight division, Greg Hardy knocking out Maurice Green. Cracking finish. Featherweight division, Bryce Mitchell taking out Andre Philly. And the main event, middleweight, KO, Uriah Hall taking out Anderson Silva. And what is anticipated to have been Anderson Silva, one of the great UFC fighters, his last fight in the octagon. So reports are that he's probably going to retire. I don't know whether that means he's going to retire from MMA altogether. But I do know that it's probably the last time we see him in the UFC. So
yeah,
there's many other MMA divisions. There are many other MMA fighting companies out there other than the UFC. UFC obviously being the leader and the main one. So he might, take another payday at a Bellator or another MMA fighting venue. But
probably.
we
Probably
don't
would
know.
fight.
But good career, great career. Obviously, former champion, one of the greats. Eurohall was just too young, too strong for him, which has been the case in a lot of Anderson Silva's most recent fights. He looks old.
Yeah.
And then Greg Hardy, I tuned in this one. Obviously, everyone knows I like watching the heavyweights. Greg Hardy, solid knockout. Nothing too, spectacular. But it was solid in the sense that he just caught him on the jaw with a short left straight to the jaw, knocked him around, and then he just finished it on the floor with the hammer fists. But yeah, not too much to speak about. Obviously, not a massive card, but always entertaining viewing UFC. So looking forward to this week, UFC Fight Night, Santos versus Teixeira. So that's the main event, light heavyweight main event. Thiago Santos versus Glover Teixeira. And then you have the heavyweight division, Andrei Arlovsky versus Tanner Boser. And then the bantamweight division, Raoni Barcelos versus Khalid Taha. Middleweight division, Ian Hindsight versus Brendan Allen. That will be a good bout. And the women's strawweight division, Claudia Gadala versus Yan Zhanan. And then obviously there's a few more fights on the prelim card. We'll just have a quick gaze at the prelims. Here we go. Here's one to look out for. Heavyweight division, Alexander Romanov versus Marcos Rogelio de Lima. Heavyweight, and Alexander Romanov is coming into this fight with a 12-0 MMA record. So see how he fares. How he fares. But yeah, that's a quick rundown of the next UFC. Probably the next big main event fights that you want to be looking forward to is on the 22nd of November. So just an early look out. That's UFC 255. So that's probably where we want to be looking towards next. But till then, there's a few there's obviously fights on every Sunday. Till then, to keep that UFC thirst quenched.
Perfect. Very nice. Very nice. Nice, quick and easy. Well, we've been flying through the sports so far. Well, coming up next, brief hobby talk as well. But Saucy's got something to get into, mate. It's been doing some light reading for the hobby, so stay tuned. Oh, we're back. Hobby talk. You've been doing some light reading, Saucy. Let's go. Let's hit it out there. See
so
for the viewers and the listeners, mate.
Yeah,
for the hobby.
Just want to talk about just where the hobby's going, and if anyone doesn't understand sort of how the growth that's happened within card collecting as a whole over the last 12 months. And there's no better indicator than obviously PSA. PSA and their company. So PSA is the sports authenticating part of the company, which is Collectors Universe Incorporated. CLCT on the NASDAQ stock market. So a public traded company. Anything that's public traded, you can actually see what earnings they're making, obviously how their stock's doing. They have to report all these things to be on the stock market. So you're allowed to view all these things, and just, because I follow them on my financing app, I got a notification this morning about an article about from Collectors Universe, which was written. Just talks about their growth. So, not only if you've been in it and been in Facebook groups, you have seen them grow, you have seen the amount of new people coming in, you have seen, the uptick in online platforms that are being created around cards, all of these things. But the biggest factor and the biggest telltale sign, Domma, is the earnings from Collectors Universe Incorporated. So I'm just gonna switch over to the mini our mini overlay where we've got the
Here we
website.
go.
He's got the absolute
Love
wizardry.
this.
So we'll bring it up. This article is courtesy of the Motley Fool, and along here it just talks about how the Collectors Universe, and they actually made an address to their investors, talking about how the growth of the company and what's transpired and all these sorts of things. So, obviously, I'll put the link to this article in the show notes. Just jot that down, Domma, so I don't forget. So if anyone wants to read it, but I will read parts of the article just to give you a sense. So he goes on by first summarizing the results for Q1 of this financial year of the 2021 financial year. So I'm pleased to report the Collectors Universe finished with Q1 record operating results. Total revenues in this first quarter were up 52% year over year to 30.8 million from 20.2 million in the same quarter a year ago. So in this same quarter a year ago, they're up $10 million, setting an all-time quarterly record for the company. So this is all-time quarterly records for Collectors Universe. They're hitting brand new heights as a company. They've never seen this growth. They've never seen this amount of revenue in their entire existence. So that's the first note that definitely stands out in that sense. So our strong growth this quarter was led by our PSA trading card and autograph business, which was up 130% year over year. That's amazing. That means they are literally nearly double and a half up on what they were doing last year. We are pleased with this performance of our. We're pleased with our performance on our coin business. So anyone out there who's not aware, PSA just don't grade cards. They also grade coins. They also grade comics. They also grade. I'm not sure if they grade some other things.
Jerseys?
Magazines. I'm not sure if they're grade jerseys. I'm not sure. But they're talking about their coin thing, which was up 4% on last year. So even in their coin sector, they're doing better. So the company as a whole, obviously, is doing better. And it's just showing the growth that's within the hobby. Now, in an earlier pod, I talked about how, with all this growth, what's being done with all this new money, and I talked about their opening of a new facility. So you can read them all. There's more financial details. I won't go more into that. I'll just give you those other ones, but you can read those ones yourself. But there's notes here, which he talks about. I'm just scrolling through. I just want to read. Don't want to read the whole bit, Domma. So it just says here, to support this growth, obviously they know they're growing, we recently announced the expansion of our existing facility in Southern California by an additional 63,000 square feet, which is directly adjacent to our current facility, thereby doubling our square footage to 126,000. This new facility has recently been upgraded and includes space for training rooms that we can utilize for quickly onboarding new employees. This expansion will allow our IT, customer service, and marketing personnel to return to the office while adhering to social distancing. Due to the proximity of the newly acquired space, we will not experience any material workforce disruptions or downtime that is typically associated with moving an off-site location. So they're saying with their growth, they still shouldn't, and their new implementation of these new things, they shouldn't affect their service, which I don't believe, because their service is still hasn't improved at all. Still hasn't improved. Even with all this new money, it still hasn't improved. But, you know, we'll give them a little bit more time. You know, I'll read through the rest of this and I'll come back to this point, but you know, there are some other grading companies out there that are trying to fix this and do things, and I'll speak about them in a sec. Our expansion into the new space will be staged over time to support our growing backlog of business, while also providing ample room to integrate technology solutions in the future, such as robotic automation, and support our long-term vision for the company. Let me just read that again. Our expansion into the new space will be staged over time to support our growing backlog. So they address that they've got a growing backlog. So they've addressed it. That's so good. They are aware of it, ladies and gents. So they're aware of it. What are they actually doing about it? Well, they're expanding, which is good. But let's actually see that in 3 months, once they've had this expansion, does it help the backlog? I still think it won't. I still think the backlog will still be bad.
I reckon it will increase.
The backlog of business, while also providing ample room to integrate technology solutions in the future, such as robotic automation, and support our long-term vision for the company. So I'm hoping that means that their long-term vision is to move towards a AI grading system.
They listen to double coverage and they listen to you say that a fair few times on the pod.
So yeah,
that's a good idea.
Look, I'm not going to keep going through the article, but they were the main points that I wanted to just say, right? So they are, look, and I said this previously, they are trying to get better and grow and be better, but I still don't see when you're up $10 million on last year's quarter, with that much amount of money and that much more money, you should be able to make these things happen quicker, right? You are receiving, your stock is at, I woke up to a notification this morning, Dom, their stock is at an all-time high. It was up 9% today. It rose 9% in 24 hours.
That's massive.
Right? So they are getting so much money, but yet they're taking so long to improve their service. And the thing that kills me, Dom, is I've said to you, if it's going to take 3 months, just say on your website it's a 90-day service. Don't say it's a 45-day service and then take 90 days or 110 days. Just say it's a 90-day service. Like, there's no need to lie about these things. Just people know you've got the backlog. Then you've said you've got over 1 million cards in backlog. Well, just change your service name to that, right? And actually start adhering to what you're putting on, advertising on your site. Now, on another spectrum, another grading company, SGC, have actually said that they're not receiving any more bulk subs because they want to get their backlog under check, because they obviously promoted themselves when everyone was complaining about BGS and PSA's backlog. They promoted themselves as, we don't have a backlog. You know, you actually get your cards back in the time that's said. Well, what happened? They promoted themselves like that. They promoted themselves that good that they ended up getting that many cards, and they ended up with a backlog. So, me, I was one of the person that sent it to them, thinking I'm going to get my cards back in, 60 days, which is pretty good to and from the US, from Australia, in a bulk sub. That's probably best you can ask for. Ended up getting it back in 120 days. So, right? But
4 months.
At least they have come out and said, we are going to stop taking cards, right? Yeah. Because we want to get this under check, because we don't want to, essentially saying we don't want to be like them, right? Which is continually take your money, but don't promise what you're offering, right? And that's where I just bring it back to basic customer service, and it just frustrates me because I read this article and I see it, and I go, they're saying the right things.
They're aware of the
They're aware of
issues.
the issue. They seem like they're moving forward. But when did I first complain about this, Domma? It might have been about 6 weeks ago. Well, in that 6 weeks, nothing's happened. Right?
It's another month, and then it becomes another month, and then it becomes
And
another
they just
month,
keep
and then
saying
we're
these little bit
then it becomes 1 year.
these little bit of words to keep the stockholders and shareholders happy, but the actual consumer, us, who's keeping the company afloat, not the stockholders, should be pissed off and should be annoyed.
Now, the interesting question is, if you don't stumble across that article, how many people in the hobby do stumble across that article where they actually have publicly noted that they do have a backlog? Not everyone would have seen this article. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So they'll keep thinking like, oh, maybe they're not aware that they've got a backlog problem, blah, blah, blah. But then you can say down in a month's time, for example, if nothing's changed again, you can say, well, hello, everyone in the hobby. They actually acknowledged this a month and a half ago or 2 months ago, and they've still done nothing about it. So for them to acknowledge it a month ago, for example, in a month's time, means that they were aware of it. So if you're acknowledging it, you're obviously aware of it prior to making that statement, if you understand what I'm saying. So you saw the article today. They've obviously been aware about it for a while now to go and make that statement on a public record. So like you said, you give them a chance, but now that they've said this, you'd hope that they make some changes pretty quickly.
Look, Domma, I want to see changes by the end of the year. There's no excuses. You've had,
100%.
you know.
So they're going to get more busy.
That's right. And you got to do something. Christmas you have to do. You either got to work out how you can bring your times down, or do something drastic like SGC and stop. Only tell people we are only accepting like high value cards. We're only accepting cards over 200 USD value. We're not accepting anything underneath, so that way we can get through what we've got, but still keep making some money on the high end cards, right?
Yeah.
And get things back in check. But there's no inclination that they're going to do anything like that. They're just going to make these statements, say that they're growing, say it's a work in process, and then the turnaround times stay the same. So it's very, very frustrating. BGS is no better. Someone please let me know. I think Beckett is on the stock market as well. I'm not 100% sure, but I'll have to find out exactly. But they're no better. And look, SGC, I'm gonna say at least they're doing something. They addressed it, of course, but at least they're doing something to prove to people that they actually care about saying, oh, you're going to get this back in 45 days, and we're giving it back to you in, 90 days, and they actually care about it. They're actually saying that they care. Whereas PSA's never even acknowledged that fact. Never acknowledged that, how ridiculous it's gotten. They're just saying they got a backlog. You know what I mean? They're just saying they got a backlog. Whereas SGC's come out and said, we've got a backlog, and we don't like this. We don't like it. We don't like what this is.
Yeah, they've put some policy and procedure in place here. And they've actually acted upon it, like you're saying, which is what you do as the company. Yeah, it might take a hit financially, but at least they get rid of the backlog. And then once their backlog's down and their turnaround goes up again, then they can just take in another 1 million cards, mate.
And get a backlog of 4 months again.
No, but get a backlog. But then they can cap it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? SGC can cap it, so then people know that they're going to get their cards like this.
Yeah.
That's the whole point. That's actually very smart. I understand you're not maximizing your profits because you're not getting 1 million cards, but the way that it can hurt your profits in the long run is, like you're saying, if you've got a poor service.
Well, that was the one thing that SGC had in their favor, right? Because if you look at their cards on the market, they don't go for
they haven't got the value.
They don't have the value of the PSA. and the SGC and the BGS, sorry. I mean,
That's
although
big,
they are
that-
doing pretty good against the BGS at the moment, I won't lie about that point. So I'll say out of the PSA, and I think that's the sad factor in all this, Domma, that everyone just sees those dollar signs, and that's why PSA keeps getting more and more cards. And
They get all the
and
business.
they're going to keep eating your money and, making you hold on to those cards and be stuck with that bag for months instead of, what it should be is weeks, not months. So it's sad. It's really sad, but I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Time will tell, and I want to see changes by Christmas time. Like by Christmas time, end of January the latest, they have to have something in
need
place.
something.
Like
really do.
I said I gave you this grace period, and I blasted him, and then for COVID, whatever. Now you're back up, bro. And then I blasted him 6 weeks ago. Now I knew back then 6 weeks ago that they were expanding to this space. Now this article is this was just out to their investors and stockholders just recently. Now they've just, they're regurgitating these same things what we already knew. But we need to see these actions helping with the customer service. So not only like people actually being able to contact you guys, because I've heard their customer service is absolutely abhorrible, but fixing your turnaround times to a reasonable, respectable time. And if you can't fix your turnaround times, well, stop lying to people and just be honest with people. Just be like, well, if you want to pay our economy service, it's literally going to be 120 days. Like, just tell people it's going to be that long. Like, don't sugarcoat it and say, oh, it's 45 days, and then, their card's held in ransom because it's 100 days.
And then they're sending courtesy emails. Well, unfortunately, it's going to take 90 days now.
Yeah.
Well, you just say it's 120. At least it gives you 30 days buffer anyway.
Like,
if you get it back early, you get it back earlier.
You look better as a company, mate. Like, I just don't understand their mentality in that sense.
Yeah,
I really don't, Dom.
I'm sorry,
I don't understand
it sounds ridiculous, but it's business 101, mate. You don't give them a time frame and then it's double to triple the time frame. You give them an overestimation, and then when the clients get the product back earlier than expected, they're like, oh,
they're keen to post on their Instagram and brag that they got it back early, mate.
Yeah, I got it back early. You should send it to them. We're getting it back 30 days before we were meant to get it back.
I don't know.
Like,
for the 30 million that they've earned in this quarter, they've definitely got $30 million worth of thinking in that company. I tell you what.
At the moment, it's just anyway. That's it. Saucy's had enough, but that's a good article. He'll put it in the description.
Put it in the show notes.
Have a good read of it. Very interesting. Have a good read. That was Hobby Talk. Another rant. We love the rants. We need at least one a show. But thanks for that, Saucy. Very nice. Coming up next, though, the most anticipated segment of double coverage, Sauceys Smokey. All right, we're back. The most anticipated segment, Sauceys Smokey. Hit it, mate. What have we got?
All right. Now, Domma, last week, bit different, Smokey. Didn't have one for you, but this week I got one for you because I've been on the bay. I've been surfing. I've been looking for him. And look, the player I'm going to bring you, he should be no surprise. He should be no surprise. I've been talking about this for many. I've actually given you his another one of his rookie cards previously on the Smokey, and here's another one for you. There's not much more I could say about him really. He's one of the greatest players to ever step foot on the NBA court or on the basketball court in general.
He's your
He's
boy,
won
mate.
5 titles. Not much more you can do other than that. He's won MVP. He's won 2 finals MVPs. He's won it where he was the bat. He's won it where he's the Robin, and then he's won 2 where he was the Batman. So you really can't get much better than that. The illustrious career. We're just going to bring it over to the mini. The mini. There he is, and it's the card is in question that we've got for the Smokey is the Kobe Bryant 1996 Fleer Metal. Now, look, if you can afford a PSA 10, by all means, go get the PSA 10. I don't have the pop report up at the minute, but I'll get it up in a sec once we run through these. I'll bring it up. But I believe it's very, very low pop. Very, very low pop. But you can pick up a raw one, Domma, for really cheap. The raw cards here being tracked, once again, from our very good friends down at Card Ladder, who are always doing an amazing job with their graphs and their data. Is, a low price of $24.50, a high price of $110, which is amazing in the last 3 months, and then an average price of $45. Now, if I say this again, if you are unsure, if you don't have too much money, don't even buy a raw one. And if you just want to get the card in your collection, you want the slab card, go buy yourself a PSA 8 or BGS 8 or 8.5, because for this average price, what last sold for 38. I think I bought a PSA 8. For the record, I bought a PSA 8 because, I can't afford a PSA 10. I already splurged on the Hoops PSA 10 Kobe. So, I can't afford PSA 10 and everything because then I'll be broke. But the don't even get the raw. Anyone out there who's selling a quality raw, which I've noticed, are selling the raw at a high price. So anyone who knows that it's going to grade decent, because you'll know straight away that this card's going to grade decent because it's got severe, it's got sensitive edges and corners with that dark border. So if those are looking good, and obviously the surface is half decent, you're going to know it's going to grade probably 9 and above. And 9s do actually do decent. So your 9s go over 135, so not too bad. I picked up a PSA. I think PSA 8. I think it cost me 55 USD. So only an extra 15 USD on the raw card. So in my eyes, if you just want to get the card for a PC or something like that, then go get the PSA 8 or the 8.5. If you can afford to get the 9, get the 9. And if you definitely can afford to get the 10, that's always the most desirable. But why I see this card and why I keep saying Kobe cards is the whole induction. The whole sort of, everyone's sort of forgotten about that he was supposed to get inducted. Then he had a tragic death.
Passing, yeah.
And, unfortunate, losing one of the greatest basketball players and such a good person in terms of what he was doing for community and in things with his Mamba Academy and all the good stuff that he was doing. So he was a lot bigger than basketball in general. But
yeah, 100%.
People forgetting that it hasn't been inducted yet, and I know that the NBA will do something monumental and special.
Yeah.
And that's going to see a massive interest in his cards. So
it's going to explode.
Yeah, so all his rookie cards, I can see them going, and albeit everyone wants his tops rookie, I've gone for this one because it's a bit different, and it was the thing to collect in the 90s, which was inserts, and this is an insert card, Fleer Metal. So, where's the insert? I think it might be the base card of that Fleer Metal, and there's another insert. There's a fresh foundation one. There we go. Anyway. It's a nice card. I'm going to bring up the pop report just to show you guys that there isn't many graded. And, people would know not to grade too many now, especially with the way that PSA is grading their stuff. Here we go. I'll bring it up for you. So this is the card. Fleer medal, Kobe Bryant. Rookie. Here we go. So 181. That's the card here. So there's only a total of 2,635 graded, Domma. That's just through PSA. So maybe...
Wow.
That's not a lot. That is really, really not a lot. Like when you take that into perspective of his Topps rookie card, another one which is his flagship rookie card, which is more expensive, and in my eyes doesn't look as nice of a card. I don't see how this isn't a winner at some point. But, yeah.
No, I think all Kobe cards, it's going to be the same thing. Kobe cards are going to be like Jordan and LeBron cards. They're all going to be winners down the track.
So I think buying this card is more of a safe bet than going and buying any of the rookies from this season.
100%.
So that's the way I look at it. The low-graded pop,
last year.
Low-graded pop. Even on that PSA 9 and 10 together, when you look at it and you run the numbers. So anyone out there, I've done this before. You put the 1033 plus 426. That gives us 1,459. And you divide that by the total. It's 2,636 of total graded. That's actually a gem rate of 9 and above of 55%. Now, I keep bringing it back to the modern day cards. There are modern day cards out there that have a PSA 10 gem rate of that same number or higher. Of 55% and higher and 50%. PSA 10, not 9. So this just shows you how difficult this card is to grade. The actual, on the PSA 10, I think it's like 20%. I can run the numbers just quickly, but it's ridiculous. So that's what I'm saying. Obviously the higher grade you get is going to help your cause, and that's why I just think securing the graded 16%, Domma, 16%, another tough grade on the PSA 10, just like the Kobe hoops.
I don't know, mate. Honestly.
But it just baffles me that you can buy a PSA 8 of this card or even a raw one. You can buy a raw one for the same price as a Zion hoops. NBA hoops card was going for at one point during the season, and it is still cheaper than a Luka Doncic NBA hoops. It baffles me, and I bring it back to the point, Domma. I bring it back to the point, like, buy accomplishments over the long run. That is going to hold in better stead, and Kobe cards are never not going to be wanted. You've got the Lakers fan base,
100%.
The biggest fan base in the whole NBA, the biggest fan
Couldn't
base
agree more.
worldwide. People are always going to want Kobe cards. It's just such a no-brainer to me, and that's why I picked out this one. And you never know, next week I might have another Kobe card for you. I've been slowly moving through them, and I've been looking into the pop reports, and I'm figuring out which one I'm going after at a 10 or a 9.5 next. Which one I'm going after next. So there'll be one, and there's a few other nice inserts out there, but we'll see. That's Sauceys Smokey, ladies and gents.
Sauceys Smokey, very nice. Thank you very much. Awesome. It's another pod down. Stay tuned and see what happens throughout the rest of this week. Champions League tomorrow, like you said. NFL. We get to see Saucy's bets come up tomorrow. If you want to listen back,
better be wary. Better be wary. Like buyers be wary. Better be wary.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Gamble responsibly,
but also,
please.
If you do, that's exactly right. But yeah, keep living, loving, and breathing sport, ladies and gents. It's been double coverage. I've been Dom with Saucy. Enjoy your week, and we'll catch you next week.
Peace out.
Take care.
And gents.
Peace out.
Thank you for tuning in. Please subscribe on YouTube and your favorite podcasting app. Also, if you could please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts, that would be awesome. Don't forget to follow us on socials at DBLcoverage_ on both Instagram and Twitter to join in with your opinion.